All right, guys. So I'm at Locals with my friend Aaron. You guys seen him before?
Yep.
From the channel Top Tier Gaming. So we haven't been able to do a lot of deck profiles over on this channel, a lot, but he does plenty of them.
A lot of deck profiles.
And I may have mentioned this before. Aaron's kind of like the rogue, like
I play a lot of rogue.
non-meta deck. Would that be accurate to say?
Yeah. I think I play maybe not more rogue than other people, but I tend to have pretty good success with the rogue decks I build and just kind of do well with them and take them to tournaments thinking that
He kind of stomps the local scene sometimes.
Yeah.
There's been some Saturdays I've heard about. So I figured I would just ask him, because he's kind of an expert here, for his favorite, like, 5, I guess, rogue or fun decks. We wanted to be sure that these were decks that aren't virtual world, you know, Drytron, things like that. So, yeah.
Yep.
You can take it away. I'm interested because I'm going to learn today.
I'm going to start with the first deck, and that's going to be Harpies. And I tend to play like pure Harpies, so not like Harpy Tri-Brigade, which is a deck that's seen some success. I like to play pure Harpies because the deck actually has a really good go first and go second with Samorg and the statue, and then go second you have probably one of the most powerful trap cards in the game, which is Featherstorm.
Is that the one where they can't... It negates just all their monsters' effects for the turn, right?
Right, so like they can still activate them, so it's not like, I guess, as a thought, but all of them are negated, and the card can be activated anywhere in the chain because it's a trap, and you can activate it from your hand as long as you control a Harpy monster. So it ends up being like a really good form of interacting with your opponent and gives the deck just like a really powerful play. Of course, it has cards like Hysteric Sign, which end up being like a +3. There's a lot of combos where you can go like Barricade Borg blocker and then pitch it and then take your Barricade Borg and a Harpy monster to make some Morg, and you're gonna end up searching what I call Exodia, which is end phase. You search Perfumer, Harpy's Feather Duster, and then Featherstorm, and then they have no spells and traps, they have no monster effects, and you have Utopia double for 10k game.
I also feel like this is one of those decks that can like deceptively grind a little bit.
Oh yeah, it has because
like Sign and stuff, all the I know that gets some cards.
Mm-hmm. So they have like the Synchro, which can use, if you're using 2 Harpy monsters, one of them can be a tuner. And she gives you a really good grind game because anytime a spell or trap is activated or a spell or trap effect, you can actually like bounce, and that's on both players' turn. And then when you're bouncing resources back to your hand, you can just keep grinding with them, and it also has its own Pot of Avarice that's searchable. It has a really good grind game in itself as well, and it can do a lot of things. Like it can dismantle back row decks as well because of its field spell. It just has a lot of options, and it's deceptively very powerful. And yeah, of course, Harpies are a fan favorite as well.
You profiled this, right?
Yeah, I
think all the decks in this video, they're profiled on your channel, right?
Yeah, every deck that I'm going to be talking about is also on my channel, Top Tier Gaming YGO. So, yeah.
All right, on to the next deck.
Next deck.
I'm gonna link his channel down in the box.
I suppose we will.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
If people want to see.
Then we're going to talk about Trap Tricks. Definitely one of my personal favorite decks.
I couldn't
as
tell.
seen by the mat here, yeah. And it's a deck I've probably played the most. And yeah, so there's several different versions of this deck you can play. You can play it with Dogmatica, you can play it with the new Amazement cards that came out in Lightning Overdrive, or you can play it really pure. Personally, right now I'm on the Amazement version because Arlecchino is a fantastic card. But yeah, Trap Tricks are a super grindy deck, and they have...
grindy.
They're very grindy. And my favorite thing about them is even though they're a trap deck, they don't play like a summon floodgate and then set just like, summon limits, there can be only one. It doesn't play like a hard trap deck. It actually plays like a snowball game where you can end up OTKing the opponent. And Trap Trick Sarah is a phenomenal card. Can do so much every single turn. Her and Brigandine makes really good plays, and when King of the Sky Prison comes out in Burst of Destiny, it's one of the...
Is that the thing that protects the hand traps?
Protects the
protects
back row,
traps, I mean.
And then it can also summon itself and set back row from your deck.
Yeah,
But
that's insane.
Trap Tricks are one of the few decks that can make rank 4s while being a trap deck on your first turn. So if you open like Trap Tricks monster plus Brigandine, you can make Sarah, and then you can make Granite, what's his name? Granite Soldier? The one they use in
Gallant Granite?
Gallant Granite, there we
yeah.
go. And you can actually search King of the Sky Prison. So it's one of the decks that can search and out to back row hate. And yeah, overall it's just one of the decks I have the most fun with as far as like any trap deck is concerned. It's a really good time.
Nice.
All right, I guess we're going to the next deck. And we're going to talk about Ancient Gears. So Ancient Gears is a deck that I think a lot of people give it flack for maybe being just an anime deck and like it's not very good competitively. But I've had some success at locals. Like I actually took first place like my first week playing the deck because I was again playing Trap Tricks most of the time, and people would be like, I have to go first because I don't want Trap Tricks to go first. And then I was playing Ancient Gears, which is a very hard go second deck. And Ancient Gears is one of the most fun decks to play because it summons huge monsters like 4,500 attack, can attack all monsters your opponent controls, it pierces, and you just OTK them the first turn. It has like crazy cards like Urgent Schedule being just one of the best starters. And it doesn't have a grind game like the other decks I've shown, but it probably just OTKs your opponent because it just has so many ways. Like Fortress is essentially like Miscellaneous Source, or it makes all your stuff unaffected. And you can't respond to Ancient Gear cards and effects, so when you activate Ancient Gear Fusion, they can't even Ash Blossom it. So it has a lot of ways to interact, and you just play a bunch of go second cards and summon big Ancient Gear monsters. And
I also feel like this is one of those ones where like you can kind of combine it with the with like those generic like Earth Machine cards,
right?
Because you're like that's technically a deck in and of itself,
right, yeah.
And like you can combine like gear, like just all the Ancient Gear stuff
right.
with it.
Actually,
I feel like it probably does do better just go second OTK.
Well, even when you're playing the go second version in OTK, you still run like the Earth Machine cards, as you say. You run like Infinitrack Anchor Drill, Infinitrack Trencher, and you run like the Super Express Bullet Train just as extenders to make your Ballista. And yeah, so also it gets to play one of the coolest cards in the game, in my opinion, which is Ancient Gear Golem. Super nostalgic card, one of my favorite. And
do you have an ultimate rare one?
I do. I have an ulti first that I like to show off sometimes. It's personally one of my favorite cards. Maybe my favorite card from the GX era. I also like Flame Wingman a lot, so there's some competition there. But Ancient Gear Golem.
Chris is nodding his head because it's good.
Flame Wingman is an awesome card. But yeah, Ancient Gear is just such a cool deck, and it's a lot better than I think people give it credit for. So, yep. On to the next deck. I'm going to talk about Bee Troopers because it's a really new deck. So
I've heard a lot of hype about this, and I really don't know any like. I mean, I knew it came out obviously, and I've heard people being like, the cards are all going up in price.
Right.
Hurry and get them.
Yeah, it can use Ready Fusion. It made Quaggar Hercules be like a super expensive.
It uses Ready.
Yeah, it can use Ready. It can use Ready Fusion to summon Quaggar Hercules, which is a level 6 normal fusion monster that's an insect. You can use it as an extender. Unfortunately, because there's only 2 printings, I think one's from a champion pack and one's from a turbo pack, the card is shot up to like $100. So using the Ready Fusion version, it's more like the not budget friendly version. But you can also play without it, so it usually ends up being fine. And Bee Trooper's like the newest deck, so it's the one I have the least experience with. But Cross Out Designator, the new card from the Megatins, it has given such a huge boost to this deck because it only had one problem before, in my opinion, mostly being Nibiru. And being able to designate Nibiru and keep your board safe is super good. It summons this really awesome towers.
Yeah, what is this about?
So he's 3K, and he just takes 2 or more insect monsters. And he has effects where he can either special summon an insect monster from your deck or make him 5K. But the issue with him going to 5K is then he can be affected by things. He's only like a towers if he has 3K attack. Okay. But he ends up being like the end board, the boss monster, him and Seraphim Papillon. And then you can summon like the Bee Trooper cards from your deck or from your graveyard, or the Battle Wasp, like specialing the Battle Wasp Poison, and then searching a follow-up, and then he's also an Effect Veiler on your opponent's turn. The deck has a lot it can do, and it's not like a one-trick pony, even though it ends on like the same card. It has so many different ways to get there, and pretty good go second options as well. And I think Sting Lancer is one of the coolest interrupt cards in the deck. And yeah, it's a deck that I don't know if I was expecting a lot from it before it came out, but it really surprised me, and I think it's a lot of fun.
And they're getting more support next
And they are getting more support.
So, like,
they're getting more support from Burst of Destiny, and then I believe we get the Insector Creator card in Grand Creators.
So, like, it's going to be...
And if the Insector card is either generic support for insects or makes Insector, like, the best way to play the insect deck, I think that could shift, maybe even this deck could become meta, depending on what the support is.
Pick up now.
I think it's got a lot of potential. All right, and the last deck I want to talk about is Dragon Maid. So Dragon Maid, it's essentially, a lot of people, I think they think it's watered down Dragon Link, but it does some things Dragon Link doesn't do, and that's summon Sheo. And Sheo is one of the most powerful boss monsters I've seen for any deck. She's an Omni Negate that then returns herself to extra deck and summons House Dragon Maid, which can turn into another body for either follow-up, or it also turns into more interruption because House Dragon Maid can pop cards. So, if you negate something in battle phase with Shale, you can actually go for very easy OTKs. And yeah, overall, she's one of the main reasons to play the deck. But the deck essentially sets up the FTK, as some people call it, which is Spheres Tidying, because that board is deceptively very hard to break. Like decks like Virtual World and Tri Brigade, they can't really break through 2 bounces on their normal summon. They'd have to have the most insane hand. But yeah, Dragon Maid has a very simple game plan. It just wants to summon spheres and set interruption traps, hand traps as well. And it has one of the craziest follow-up game plans of any deck, because all the Dragon Maids get summoned off spheres and then they bounce back to hand for your normal dragons or your big dragons. And yeah, it just has a really good follow-up, and overall it's super powerful strategy. And of course the art is fantastic, so if you enjoy good Yu-Gi-Oh art, Dragon Maids definitely have it going for them.
So yeah, I guess in conclusion, what would this be? Bead Troopers for sure. That's new. I kind of thought about trying it out myself. Ancient Gears,
Fun deck.
Dragon Maids, Trap Tricks, and Harpies. I know you're probably especially known for these two, right?
Yeah, these two I definitely have played more than the others, and I've seen a lot of success with both of these decks.
And you can find profiles of all of them
On Top Tier Gaming YGO. It's a channel that I mostly run, and then I have my friends come on as well. And we just do a lot of deck profiles. It does sound familiar, doesn't it? I think I know the formula. And then we do deck profiles, we do discussions. We also do like vlogs when we go on trips and just have overall a really good time. And yeah, we just try to have a good time on the channel and help people, play rogue decks and get better at them. And if they want to play them and have success, we try to show the best deck profiles we can. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, thank you for taking the time to share these decks with us. I know a lot of people really appreciate it.
Yep.
You guys wanted ideas from me, so I found someone who actually knows what they're talking about, and you can follow his advice instead. All right. Anyways, yeah, that's the video. Drop a like.
Subscribe.
Yeah. Later, guys.
I don't know where we're going.